sang this song to me. There was a message in its melody, sweetest lyrics that I ever heard. There's a message in the songs of birds. Tomorrow is another day. Living is the only way tomorrow's gonna ever come. Listen to the words of the song. Everything's gonna be alright. Everything is gonna be
Greetings and welcome to a Sip of Inspiration podcast. I'm Stephanie Wilson-Coleman, your host for tonight's episode. And joining me is Dr. Paulette Evans. Before I introduce her, of course, I have some housekeeping that I have to do. So we're going to start with thanking our wonderful sponsor, Rise. When you need a supply company to rise to your needs, call Resource Industrial Supply and Equipment. They have sponsored our show since its inception, and we are actually very happy and grateful and thankful for having them as a sponsor for us. So if you're watching this live, you're watching us on my Facebook page, my personal page, as well as my business page, and you're watching it on YouTube. If you're not watching it live, thank you for joining in and listening to us on one of the various podcast channels that the show appears on. So thank you guys for that. Be sure you go to the website, champagneconnection.com. That's CHAMPAGNE, like the liquor, connection, CONNECTION, without an S at the end.com. If you put in champagneconnections.com, you're going to be pleasantly surprised, and that's not me. So go to champagne.com and you'll see merchandise. As a matter of fact, if it's your first time there, you will get your blueprint to financial success for you to work through so that you can understand and begin to know and bond with the things that are keeping you from actually living your best life. And there's not only merchandise, there are books too. Remember, my latest book is out there. So please get your copy of Self-Esteem, Your Superpower, Ways Parents Can Improve Children's Self-Esteem. So with that being said, I am going to bring you my star of the hour, Dr. Paulette J. Evans. Tell you, it was a pleasure for me to run across her bio and to finally get to meet her. She is just outstanding. So I'm going to read a little bit about her, and then I'm going to turn it over for her to introduce herself to you. So Dr. Paulette J. Evans was born in Georgetown, South Carolina, which is a small coastal town where both her parents grew up. And after they both graduated from college, her father worked as an electrician for 33 years, and her mother taught math. So combining what she learned from both of them, she obtained a Bachelor's of Science degree in electrical engineering. I think that's awesome. And she minored in mathematical sciences from Clemson University and graduated in 2001. I think that's fantastic. She also has a Master's of Business Administration from Stetson University. She graduated magna cum laude. So she's like one of the top smart people still hanging around in this world. So she currently lives in Raleigh, North Carolina, where she identifies as a process improvement project manager expert who utilizes proven methodologies to effectively and efficiently solve problems at work, at home, and everywhere in between. And in this show, we're going to talk about some of that everywhere in between. So thank you. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So I know you had parents who encouraged you to do electrical engineering and mathematics, but when you got in those fields, were they everything you thought they were going to be?
I think kind of. I don't know if I planned that far ahead in terms of what it would look like. I just knew it was something I wanted to do. And they really didn't voice many opinions about what I was going to major in. So they were supportive, but it was more of me hanging out with my dad and fixing things around the house where I started falling in love with electricity and all the things that we can do with power. And then, of course, math was always my favorite subject. I love numbers. I love money. So that was easy as well. And with engineering, you take maybe 6 math classes. So to pick up the minor, I only had to pick up maybe 3 more classes. So all my electives, I did mathematical science classes so I can get the minor. So, but it has been fun, and I've enjoyed it constantly. So I wouldn't change a thing.
So you went from there to get a doctorate of education degree at Capella University, and she got a 4.0 GPA. Okay, guys. So she's smart, I tell you. Okay, so what was your motivation to take that next step?
So it's funny is I thought I was done after the Bachelor of Science. And then I realized that I, again, focused all on math with my electives. I didn't take any business classes. So I wanted to be more well-rounded as I started doing things and getting more positions and promotions. So that's how I ended up with the MBA. I was going to be done at that point, but my husband was working on his doctorate. And I was kind of in that journey with him. I was like editing his papers a lot and listening to him talk about things. And I was like, if I can find the right program, I think I may be interested. And so I went to Google. I had to be in an online program because I don't do traditional school well. I have too many things going on. I can't sit in somebody's classroom for 3 hours on a Wednesday evening. My life isn't set up for that. So I put in online in Google, 100% online program that focuses on process improvement, project management, or performance improvement, because those are my areas. And that program popped up at Capella, and I had a call with one of the advisors, I want to say the next week. And then within the next month, like the next semester, I was enrolled in doing it. So it was a very quick and easy decision once I found a program that I knew I would enjoy and learn something from. And because my background is science and then the MBA is business, College of Education did teach me quite a bit about how to understand how people learn and how they receive things and how they can digest things. So it's been very, very helpful as I'm working with clients and again, working at home, listening to my husband speak about things, listening to friends, how I can respond back in a way that it is beneficial and it's helpful and they can actually hear it and receive it and digest it.
So your company, Evans Efficiency Expert, is a consulting firm. Mm-hmm. And I love this part. You help people convert chaos to calm before they burn out. So what are some of the examples you've seen and how do you help that? How have you been able to help people actually settle down enough so that they can work through and solve a problem?
Yeah, so my methodology is the same no matter who I'm working with. I go through a step-by-step process, figuring out what it is you're doing. Like, I just want to see what's happening. I shadow you. I just kind of hang out and watch you work and watch you do whatever you're doing, even if it's outside of work. And I'm taking notes, like make my notes to myself about things I'm seeing that are literal waste. Like you're doing something too much or you're overdoing something, but you're not getting any results. So I'm just taking all that down. And then I come back to you and kind of present to you everything that I saw, and give you some numbers behind it if I can, because measuring is how we improve. Like success is based on numbers. So if I can measure your baseline, then I can give you a goal to reach for and I can get you to that goal. So once we have that discussion, then I figure out the things you need to pull out, like take away this task, take away that step, take away this thing that you do that you never feel like doing, but you do it because you should. All of that goes away. And then I give you these new behaviors, help you implement the changes. And then I check in with you once, twice, and 3 times later. Like either it's 3 weeks or it's 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, depends on how long our engagement is, to make sure you're still sticking with those same new behaviors and not falling back into the bad behaviors. So for me, whether I'm working with a nonprofit organization or a corporation or a solopreneur or an individual, the way I do my work is exactly the same no matter what.
Do you find that working with the solopreneur is a lot different from what tasks they have to perform as opposed to someone who has a company who's not?
It is. I mean, it's slightly different. I mean, because if it's just you, then I'm working mostly and only with you. Whereas if you have gaps in a couple of your processes that fall in different functions, I'm working with the leaders of those functions. So the interaction is a little bit different. It goes from either being one person or to a group of people. So it really just depends on the situation and where the problem is. Because you can be a corporation or a larger organization, and the problem is with one function. So then I am kind of just working with that one person until I present everything to the larger group.
So what kinds of things do people tend to do that they don't need to do?
So Band-Aid
have
fixes.
A field day with me, guys. Okay?
Yeah, Band-Aid fixes is a big one. And that leads to a company performing inconsistently. That means, Tom steps in to do this one thing, Sally steps in, Paul steps in, and it's done different every time. Because there is no consistent process, there is no SOP. And you think that it's fine because you're just getting it done when you're wasting time doing it a longer way. And there's an efficient way to do it. in which case then your customers are getting the same experience, no matter who they're talking to. And again, your customer can be a client or it can be, your kids. I mean, it's the customer is the customer, whoever you need to get something through to that day or deliver something to for that day. So yeah. So that's one of the big things. It's just the lack of consistency and lack of processes. So you end up spinning your wheels and doing things in a very inefficient manner. And so I give you back some of your time. So you can do some of the things that you need to do that you haven't been able to get to because you're wasting time on the other thing.
So how do we stop doing things that are time wasters? And what simple things what are some examples of things they do? I can name one for me, but so what do we do that are time wasters? Because I know some things, you probably see some things recurring, and no matter who the client is. Yes,
very, very true. It's the thing that one, for a very, very, very simple example, is going into the grocery store without a list. I mean, I know that sounds so simple, but a lot of people they don't do it. They think, I'm just going to go in here and grab these 3 things, and they come back with a cart full of stuff. And you were supposed to be in there for 15 minutes and you spent an hour. And now you can't get that time back. And now you get home and your kids are screaming because nobody's thinking about dinner and your husband is tied up working still. And so things like that, putting things in order in your life so you can stay on track. And this is reminders in your phone. Again, having a list no matter what store you walk into, grocery store, otherwise, making a to-do list like the night before, not the morning of. For me, I start on Sunday and I list out my week because I know what I need to accomplish each day. And so I just have that in front of me so I know what I need to be working on. And then blocking out things that are going to distract you from getting things done. Like turning your phone on Do Not Disturb. I live by that. My phone is on Do Not Disturb from 10 p.m. to 10 a.m. every day, even the weekends, because I want my downtime to unwind and I need my ramp up time in the morning. I don't want anybody calling me and waking me up. That is the worst thing you could possibly do because it doesn't end well for me, because then I'm angry when I wake up, and then it doesn't end well for you either. So to avoid that, I keep it on Do Not Disturb until 10 a.m. So to me, it's simple little things you do just to put structure in your life so you can get things done. Because if you spend 12 hours a day running and at the end of the night you lay down and you're like, I didn't get these 2 things done, and that's the only 2 things I had on my list to do, then something is wrong. You're prioritizing other people, you're prioritizing other things, or you're just procrastinating, because sometimes that's happening. And so for me, I'm that voice in your head that's telling you what you need to be doing and helping you see that doing this thing is not going to help you get that thing done.
That is so true. You're right. I'm saying this is the grocery store. As a matter of fact, I don't even go to the grocery store, so somebody else goes for me because I'm distracted by all the new shiny things. So it's off of my to-do list to do, because I would still be in the grocery store in sweatpants and a sweatshirt because it's cold in there for me. So you're right. A list to go to the grocery store and stick to the time, but these shiny things that distract us.
I know they're everywhere. And again, you need somebody. If it's not yourself, if you can't talk yourself out of being distracted, then you got to have that accountability partner that can do it for you. And whatever that looks like for you. If it's a friend, one of my friends, I'm that for her, because she will go into a store and just randomly roam about like she has nothing else to do. So I will, if I'm on the phone with her and she's about to go into the store, I'm like, okay, 15 minutes. Okay, I'm going to call you back in 15 minutes and we're going to walk back out of that store together. I'm going to stay on the phone with you until you put back whatever, pay for your stuff, and walk back out that store. That's what we're doing, because you have 15 minutes and you keep forgetting that.
When you find, and when you ask people to set their weekly goals or weekly to-do list, what's normally the reaction when you ask them to do that at first?
If they haven't done it or they're not accustomed to doing it, it feels like an impossible ask. And that's why I kind of help them sit, once I figure out, because that's why I do my observation up front. I've watched you. I know what you have going on. I know what your life is, like what your to-dos are. So I can help you by just the time I've spent looking at what you're doing and watching you. I can help you create that list because I know what you need to do. Like, I've already learned some things about you, so I know what you need to have on that list. So we can build that list together.
So when you work with corporations, do you find that people just don't trust delegating things they could delegate maybe?
Well, corporation examples have been more like streamlining processes.
Okay.
They literally have had waste in their processes, and that's back to that inconsistency.
Okay.
And so the delegation isn't really the problem. It's more or less the right people are there. They're just doing the job the wrong way. And that's causing more wasted time and less product and deliverables being produced.
Okay, so as you all hear, there's inconsistencies at home and inconsistencies at work too.
They're everywhere.
Everywhere.
They're everywhere.
Have you ever been anywhere where something caught your attention? You just says, they don't need
Yeah,
to do it that
all
way.
the time, because I can't turn it off. And so
Okay.
I'm hoping I'm not a manager's headache every time I go into a store, because I will be that person that's like, hey, quick question. Why is this like this? I'm just curious. just wondering. And that'll lead to a whole conversation, a better way to do things. So yeah, I can't turn it off.
So when it comes to people's lives, especially people who are solopreneurs, how do you encourage them to set these hard start and stop times? Because they generally believe that they have to keep going all the time.
Yeah.
And we all know that's the pathway to burnout.
It is. I mean, and it's the hard facts of the matter in terms of what's going to happen if you don't decide to prioritize your health and sanity. And then helping them go through it, like having them live a real life example where they work for, an hour straight nonstop, and you take like a 10-minute break just to go get some fresh air. And then you come back and you feel like you're able to do more and you're not getting sluggish, especially in that afternoon time crunch, like after lunch in between the end of the day, whatever that looks like for you. But yeah, it's just helping them see the other side of things. Some people can't put themselves in other people's shoes. Some people can't put themselves into the bad, like the extreme bad of a situation. And I can paint that picture and help pull you into the ways to prevent getting there. Because it's hard to get out of it once you get in it. If you've gone too far, it's hard to come back sometimes. And then you're going to suffer, family's going to suffer, business is going to suffer, etc.
What are some extreme examples of people you've helped?
Oh,
as you caught them before they jumped off the mountaintop?
Yeah, I was working with the president of a nonprofit women's organization, around 600 members maybe. And she was contemplating walking away completely from the presidency she had just started. And it was because of things that happened prior to her even arriving. None of it was her fault. She hadn't played a role in any of it really, but it was getting her to a point where I could help her understand what was missing and why things were always in such a chaotic space. It was like, what is like, if you're volunteering, if you pay me, I can have a headache every now and again because you're paying me for the headache. But if I'm volunteering my free time, I can't do headaches for free. So for her, this is her free time she was donating to this organization, and she was just miserable. And I'm like, that's going to then roll over to your home life, to your work life. So we got to figure out what it is that's causing you to be miserable, because you love the organization, but you're hating this role that you just got into. And again, that was a lack of structure from leadership prior to her, lack of standard operating procedures, lack of member understanding of what they need to do when they show up. I mean, they just didn't have a lot of tools in place. Mm-hmm. So me helping create those tools for her and for her leadership team helped her greatly.
So do you find it easier to work with and transform individuals or organizations?
Neither. I mean, it's equal for me, because again, I show up exactly the same way no matter who I'm working with. So then I don't have a chance to really form an opinion about whether it's going to be hard or not. I know what I'm there to do, and I just do it.
Okay, and then I guess people are in both places.
Yeah,
yeah. Like Stephanie, they're people, right?
Yes. Yeah, and most times they're all the same. No one likes to change. No one wants to change.
I was going to ask. So how do you coax them into changing? Because no one wants to change.
It's true. I am always believing in my mind. I assume, and I know that's not a good thing, but more times than not, people don't like to change because they're afraid of something. They're afraid of what it's going to lead to. They're afraid of what it's going to look like. They're afraid of the unknown because you can't predict the future. And so me helping them walk through this fear that they have, the most irrational thoughts and imaginative things you can come up with after this change happens, and me walking them through the actual facts of what's going to happen after the change happens. So it's getting out of the feelings and fluff and the extreme mindset and getting them back to facts and figures, which is where I thrive. Just the facts of it all, the numbers, showing them what is going to be the result of this change that we're going to put in place. And then answering any questions they have about their fears in terms of what they think might happen, or what if this doesn't work right, or what if this goes off the rails, and reining them back in so they can get out of that space. And then they start getting more I guess, upbeat about the change, excited about it a little bit. When they see that it's going to be a beneficial change for them, then they start getting excited about it. So it's just keeping them in that space so they don't get back in that woe is me and doomsday thought process about the change, because that'll keep them from moving forward at all. And we don't want that.
So do you follow up on them after a period of time to see?
I do, because the sustainability part of what I do, to me, it just, again, depends on how long our engagement needs to be. If it's 1 week, 2 week, 3 weeks later, or 1 month, 2 months, 3 months later. But typically 6 months is a period of engagement for my mostly corporate takes that long. Individuals not as long, but for sure I have to follow back up to make sure you're not falling back into those bad behaviors.
So what kind of goals would you set, say, for someone who had a high level position, and how do you follow up with them?
So high level in corporate?
Yeah, in corporate, and then in high level in corporate, and then in other instances also.
Yeah, high level in corporate is like, the facts are your goals. What are your goals that you need to perform against as an employee of this organization? We will use those as our guide, because there's no point in me creating new goals for you and you already have a set of goals that you need to work toward. So I'll help you work toward the goals you already have. I will also help you find a personal goal or two in there, because again, you can't work 100% of the time. That's just it's not good self-care. So if you have your set professional goals, I'll help you with a couple personal goals to make sure you're making time for yourself as you're doing this high power job and working all the time, because I know that life. So yeah. And then for a solopreneur, it depends on what your business goals are in terms of what you want to achieve, what you want to accomplish in a certain time period. And then individual goals are more of the personal, just, help me be less chaotic at home. Help me get a cadence and structure in order for my morning so I can get out the door on time and stop being late for work, and things like that. So it really just depends on what your problems are and the issues you're experiencing. That will dictate your goals more times than not, unless you already have set ones that you have trouble reaching.
So I wonder if working with the corporate people is easier than working with solopreneurs or just individuals?
Just depends.
Okay.
Yeah, but I don't find any of it difficult, because to me, I love doing it. So none of it's difficult to me.
What was your first client like? Because you love this way too much. So what was your first
I know.
Yeah.
My first client, think back. My first client was a small organization, a small company, kind of like not a startup, but they were kind of young, and they had some operating agreement issues and documentation that they were missing in terms of filing for their license to perform business in the state they were in. So that was a very simple, pretty easy case. But yeah, that was the first one. And then it's just been kind of different types across the board since then.
Well, individuals who are trying to change their own life, is it sort of the same, or do they need more skills? How do you help?
No, not skills. Because I won't give you a solution that's difficult for you to implement, because then that's not helping you.
Okay.
So when I give you something, when I try to change your behaviors and it is going to be delivered to you in a way that you can receive it. And again, I've spent all this time with you, so I know how you think. I know the things that make sense to you. I know your areas of struggle. Like if you're not a math person or whatever, like I know these things. So when I'm giving you your solutions, I'm giving it to you in a way that you can understand and you can implement them. I'm going to help you implement it, but you can maintain it and then sustain it, so then you don't fall back into those other behaviors. Because you can't give somebody a hard task and leave it for them to do by themselves and expect them to make something out of it. That's just not going to work. So yeah, I do cater the delivery and the implementation plan based on the person and what I know their capabilities are, so they can actually own this thing when I walk away. Because I do walk away at some point. There's no more checking in. You're good. I'm done. We're parting ways. If you need some additional help, that's a new contract. So yeah. So at some point I have to stop, and I need to make sure you can keep going on this path without me.
So I was wondering, since people can get attached to, they can get really attached to you because it comes so easy to you as to what needs to be done. For one, you got the skills, and you're looking from the outside in too, and you can see more that way,
Yeah. Absolutely.
right? You can see more. So, right. So it's like, oh no, don't leave. Don't
Yeah.
when you work
That's
with
why I space it out the way I do. Because again, if it's
okay,
1, 2, 3 weeks, then I'm going to see you that Monday, and I won't see you again until the next Monday. So I'm giving
okay,
you 7 days to do it on your own. And when I circle back to you, I'll ask how it went, what went wrong, did anything go wrong, and if something did go wrong, let's fix it. And if it's
okay,
the month, if it's 30, 60, 90 days, then I see you once a month. So you have 30 days to own it. And if something major happens, an emergency, then of course call me.
okay. So what kinds of things you find go wrong?
They just get back into bad habits, or
Okay,
they spend. I mean, because it's once you start a habit, I think that says 21 days is how you form a habit. And if you are not accustomed to blocking out your time and being real structured, it will take one moment for you to go back off the rails. And that one day then turns into the next day. And that to-do list and that task, you didn't finish it Monday, now it's on Tuesday. You didn't finish it Tuesday, now it's on Wednesday. And you got Wednesdays and Tuesdays tasks to do too. So it takes one thing to get off track. When you go off the plan, when you get out of the plan, it takes one thing. And it's a snowball effect after that. And then I have to come in and help you get back on track. And it happens because it's easy to do it when someone is saying, hey, you need to do this. But when you don't have that person there, you sometimes get a little lax. And then again, that's when I come back in. And that's why I have the sustainability period the way I have it. Because I would never just say, okay, hey, do this. We're doing it now. Today, don't call me again. We're done. Because it doesn't stick like that more times than not.
okay, okay. So you do it, give them you work with them, and you give them a little room to do it, and then you
Yeah.
check back up on them.
Yeah. It's like training wheels, kind of. So,
We'll
yeah.
cheat, right? It's like we'll cheat.
Yes. Yeah. It's human nature to like doing it the way you were doing it and you were comfortable doing it, even
Right.
if it didn't give you what you needed. So once you can realize that you need to get out of your own way to get what you need, then it starts sticking and you start being more serious about it and start committing to it.
So when you work with individuals who are solopreneurs,
Mhm.
what do you find? What other things do you find generally stand in their way? Because a lot of solopreneurs watch this program, and
Mhm.
the days just seem to go on and on and
They
on.
do. Yeah, they do. My big thing is being passionate about what you're doing, because then it doesn't really feel like work. If you're in a situation where you can't do what you're passionate about, then you have to figure out what you're passionate about, because maybe you're not in the right space.
Okay.
But you also have to just have this hustle mindset, because if you're a solopreneur, it is just you. I tell my husband, I said, I can come to bed with you right now and go to sleep, or I can program these emails to send out tomorrow morning, because if I'm not doing it, it's not getting done. There's nobody that's going to come in here in the middle of the night and do my to-do list for me. So you have to have the boundaries and communicate with the people in your life so they understand that I'm not just watching soap operas and eating bonbons at 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm planning for something big that's happening tomorrow, or I'm getting ahead of my list because I did everything I needed to do today. And now I'm ahead a little bit because I want to take Friday off. But when it's just a solopreneur, it's those things that you just have to keep going. If you love it, you want to fight for it, then you got to keep going. And you can't let all the negative things and all the barriers get in your way, especially if it's something, if you're passionate about it, for sure you can't. If you're trying to learn to get passionate about whatever it is you're in, that's acceptable as well. But just make sure you keep pushing, keep fighting, keep working.
So for solopreneurs, it's probably more important for them to literally plan ahead
Yes, absolutely.
and know what they have to do every day of the week before the week comes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because,
Yeah. That's a Sunday. Again, for me, my Sunday afternoon is just planning for my week. Because once Monday comes, I don't want to be in planning mode. I need to be in doing mode. And then Saturday I can take a break and then start it over on the next Sunday.
What were some of the most difficult situations you've had to reform?
Outside of the Band-Aid fixes, just bad behavior. And that's where you allow bad behavior. And there's no reinforcement. There's no accountability. The person just doesn't want to do anything that they're supposed to do, and you allow it. And that's where I would draw the line. So I can't come in and do all the things I do if this person is just not going to show up. They don't really care about the company, clearly, and you're not even holding them accountable.
Okay.
So that's where I would, I've had to turn down one contract because of that. And I noticed it during the define phase, like the observation phase, where I'm watching things happen and I'm seeing this person's behavior and I'm like, is this acceptable? Or if no one's saying anything, so I guess it's acceptable. Is it right? No, obviously not. But if you all are accepting the behavior, then you're giving that person the thought that it's acceptable. Then that person will tank your company. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Right. So you back out because you're right. There's no.
Yeah, because I can't do all the things I do. If this one person is a clear saboteur and you're not going to get rid of them. So, yeah, you can, whenever you get rid of that person, then you can reach back out to me and then we can get some work done.
So what's been your most successful project?
Well, selfishly, this business has been my most successful project because I had to make time for it, and the registering it, the website, the email. I mean, like all of that, to me, just getting all of that done again as a solopreneur, only me, that has been my most successful project so far. Everybody else's projects are great too, and I love working with them. I love helping them, but selfishly, my greatest accomplishment has been getting this off the ground.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So prior to this,
Mm-hmm.
I imagine you were always helping people convert chaos to calm.
I was, yeah. I had 20 years in corporate America, 10 years in healthcare, most recently,
Okay.
and then 10 years in manufacturing right before that. So a lot of my training and the process improvement, all of that stuff comes from my corporate training. It's just I use it so much outside, or I was using it so much outside of just my day job, that I realized that it's something I can use wherever I go. And that kind of sparked this company idea once I finished up a corporate contract with my healthcare employer last March.
Cool.
Yeah.
So are they reaching back out to you saying, hey, we need help?
Yes.
Oh, yes. So when solopreneurs start off, we talked about the fact that they need to know what their week looks like. They need to know what it's going to look like. And they need to know it before the week starts. So for those of you who are solopreneurs, and this is for everyone though, is like you need to know how your week is supposed to look. What about setting aside time for emergencies? Because the emergencies do come up. So do you advocate for that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you shouldn't stack. Your to-do list shouldn't look like every hour on the hour there's something. Because that's the other thing, I do factor in me time in my scheduling. Me time is typically my Thursday afternoon. Like from 12 to 5, I'm typically just unplugged, getting some me time in. And especially if I have to have a long Friday, or I have to travel on Friday to go out of town to do something, then that Thursday afternoon is my me time. And it's scheduled in the calendar as me time. So yeah, so that not stacking your day so much would be a start. Because if you have it stacked from 8 to 5 nonstop, there is no room for emergencies. So again, it shouldn't be stacked that tight anyway, because that's just going to set you up to miss a goal or miss something that you really wanted to do. So spread it out, make it a realistic plan for the week when you're creating it on Sunday. And that way, if an emergency pops up, you will have time and you can restack something if you need to.
Right. Okay, so
always have that me time in there too, because you got to have time for self to recharge.
And there's that me time again.
Yes. Very important.
Yes. And she's right. I never had me time before, but now I have it early in the morning so I can hike. And I was amazed. I still get the same amount of things done during the day and the hiking time. So for those of you all who are sitting there thinking, oh, you can't possibly do that because you're going to need the time. No, I'm telling you, you won't even miss the time. You will be so charged that, and then when you're in your me time, it's amazing. It's like when you're turned off, then ideas can slip in there. They can slip in there, and they can, you'll see something or read something that helps you do something quicker or better. So you do need some me time. Now, so do you have any favorite kinds of businesses to work with, or you just like them all?
I do like them all. However, because I am my passion in terms of just what I do with my free time,
Uh-huh.
volunteering with nonprofit organizations that focus on empowering women. So those are my favorite clients because again, I get to work with them. I volunteer with some of them, but then I also can get some work done with them and help them get their organizations running smooth. So I do enjoy. They're my favorite clients because it's such a powerful thing that they are able to do once I get my help. They can then impact so many women. So to me, that's huge.
Oh, that is huge. That's fantastic. So what besides the nonprofit, what other types of industries have you coached?
Some healthcare,
Okay.
some just business in terms of just offering services, some consulting, and some coaching, like professional coaching.
And in the professional coaching world, what issues have you found that uh, people need to pay attention to, or we just all neglecting ourselves?
No, well, no, that's more of the negative talk, like getting in your head and convincing yourself you can't do something.
Oh,
That is more of the professional coaching in terms of not sports, but like coaching someone who needs to make a big career change or do this one
okay.
big task or take this one big risk. That kind of conversation. It's more
How
of just
do
getting
you
in your head.
handle that conversation? That's a huge conversation.
That's the I tell my again mostly women because I'm typically speaking to women when I'm saying things like this is the never telling yourself no moment because you're going to get no all day long when you walk out the door, so you can't be part of that audience. So just know you can do anything you want to do. The only person that can physically stop you from doing something is yourself. So it's just figuring out what it is, where in their mind or in their past did they feel like they couldn't do something, and how that's compounded on top of each other. And in your mind, you now can't move forward. So figuring out what that is and helping them work through how to get around that. So again, if it happens, because I mean, things happen all the time. Some things repeat. And if it happens again, this is what you need to do when it happens, not what you did last time, because we see how that turned out. So it's more of just giving them the inspiration and the empowerment that they need to take that next step on their own.
And not talking themselves out of it.
Exactly.
So at this point, if you had to choose an industry, which one would you find the most challenging?
Oh, challenging? Oh
Yeah.
my. Transportation, air transportation.
Okay.
Yeah, air transportation is having a moment. And the government. The government is always having a moment. So yeah.
Oh yeah, they're always having.
Yeah. So like if I could just go spend a month up there, maybe I can make some change happen. Yeah. Those two are like the big ticket businesses that if I could, I would surely try to help them out.
Yeah, especially the air travel thing.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's like, goodness gracious, it's
Yeah.
fun, but still. So in small businesses and in solopreneurs, besides having time to do everything, what are some other challenges are they facing?
I would say capital. It just depends on what you have going on. Because you have to, use money to make money. So if you're a person, if you're a solopreneur and you're starting a brand new business, but your own personal credit isn't that great, then how are you going to make anything happen? So in those cases, you have to go out to the Small Business Association, SBA, and just look for grants, look for any type of money that's out there that can help you take your dream to the next level. But capital for sure is one. Health, and again, this is that if you're burning the candle at both ends, and again, you're a new business just starting out, can you afford insurance? If you can't, then you burning the candle at both ends is not going to help you in the long run. So if something happens and you can't afford to get it fixed or you can't afford healthcare, then that becomes its own stressor and impacts your business. So for sure, solopreneurs, again, the capital and just the taking care of yourself, the self-care, because it leads to so many other issues when you don't stop or press pause. I mean, and again, if I'm not doing it at 2 a.m., if I'm not sending this email, it's not getting sent. However, if I've been burning the candle for the last 3 days, I'm going to have to send that email tomorrow or schedule it to go out or something, because I can't, at some point, you can't keep doing that as a solopreneur. And it's just in your nature too, because the buck stops with you. Everything stops with you. But again, the long-term impact is your health. And if your health is not working properly or in the right place, then you can't do anything for your business. So it's just all those little small realities that you have to just embrace and do something about. Like, this, so do it. Better, do better.
So I guess when money is a problem, then how do they get around that?
Yeah, that's when they have to really, really hustle. And again, you have to find either clients or you have to find support from the government in terms of the SBA loans or grants or anything like that. There are a lot of resources out. I can't speak to everybody's state. North Carolina is where I live. And so the North Carolina Small Business Association, the Secretary of State, she oversees this, or she offers a website that has tons of resources about starting a business, finding capital, being a solopreneur, all these things. It's a very, very user-friendly website, which makes it easy for North Carolinians to create small businesses. So it's just being able to get access to the resources that will help you as you're trying to launch this business. And I will tell some folks, if you want to walk away from corporate, make sure you're in a good place financially before you do that. Because you can, start ramping up your business while you still have one foot in corporate, if that works for you, or one foot in whatever it is you're doing right now that's making your money for you.
Yeah, there's some help, I think, with SCORE, SCORE.org.
Yeah.
And then every state has, a procurement technical assistance center that would give some help to sort of direct you towards some resources and contracts. Yeah. But I know that's tough, as you said. You have to really have prepared for it before you step down.
Yes. Yeah. And worst case scenario, if you're already done with corporate and you're trying this thing, then you have to do something you may not love doing for a little bit, because, bills are due the first of the month. Like, no matter, they don't really care what you have going on or what's going on or not going on in your business. So if you got to do something you don't really care for a little bit, it's just, you can do anything temporarily.
That is good advice, because not a lot of people will tell you that. You're right, because bills are due on the first of the month. They don't care what's going on. Right. Yeah. What's been your most successful project?
Oh, outside of my own business?
Yeah, outside your own business.
Oh, okay.
I know there are people around there singing your praises.
I have a couple of my women-focused, women empowerment nonprofits that I've helped out with a couple things. And that's made me very happy, because I could see just a wave of relief, as I'm presenting all the information to them and giving them the documents and the forms and everything they need to just make their organization so much better. And they love it. And I mean, I love any nonprofit that focuses on empowering women. So that's those are if I had to choose, those are my favorite clients, because I just love that. I'm passionate about that outside of work. It's a, cause that I love personally.
That's fantastic. Yeah. Those, I love small businesses too, especially ones who empower women. So that's really, my heart goes out to you for that, and to them, because it's hard work. And just owning a small business in itself takes a lot of time, as you said, because you're generally one person and you only get 24 hours, and you've got to take care of yourself. So
exactly.
Yeah. So have you ever, worked with more than one company at like in a collaboration, maybe?
Not yet. Not yet. But I am that person that's a connector. I connect folks that need to be connected.
Okay.
So yeah. And because I'm president of my local junior league right now, I had to step away from 4 other nonprofits I was in leadership with in terms of just my volunteer time. But I meet tons of women, especially, and every now and again, an awesome gentleman who's a fan of women and a ally. And they need to meet each other. Like, they have something going on. I'm like, oh, I know somebody who can, I know somebody who does that. And I connect them that way. So not for my business. This is more just personally. I know this person. I don't provide what they need, but I know who can. So I need to connect them.
That is fantastic. So you, in the healthcare industry. So what were some of your interesting moments there as you were helping them be more efficient?
Yeah. So the funny thing is, with manufacturing, I have to go back to make the point about healthcare. With manufacturing, it was always a situation where we need to change, but we really don't. And so I had to fight constantly to get them to see that the change was necessary. When I got to healthcare, the first thing they told me was, just do whatever you want with the process. We can start from scratch if you want to. And I was like, oh my God, I've made the right choice. This was like the first month, my very first project. And I said, this is what I'm supposed to be. So, and it was like that the entire time with healthcare. And I think that's the difference with healthcare. It's, if a process is not efficient, it's going to cost us a customer one way or another, like someone's life. So
Someone's
it's a little
life.
different with healthcare.
Right.
Yeah, they're very, very open to the efficiencies. I ended up, every healthcare system I've been in, I have been in charge of any CMS or government mandated system-wide change. I've run all those projects. So it's because everybody is willing to change and be better. Because again, if we're better, then our patients are going to have a better experience. And that was a huge thing. With manufacturing, we're just producing product and making money. So, the money came in this week, so clearly nothing's wrong. Everything's fine. So, which is different. So very, very different receptors or receivers of change. So healthcare was amazing. Manufacturing was a little tougher sell most times.
Yeah. Money came in, nobody died.
Everything's working. So what do we need to change for? And I'm like, okay. Yeah. So healthcare was awesome. I enjoyed my 10 years in healthcare. I never had a bad project. It's awesome. It was an awesome experience.
Cool. What's your favorite industry for a solopreneur to work with? Because I know you've seen a lot of them. Yeah.
And I will say my love of healthcare makes me want to say healthcare, but I don't know a lot of solopreneurs in health spaces, except I have a couple therapists that are kind of getting into that solopreneur, their own private practice kind of deal. So any healthcare worker I can help with anything, I will always choose them because I've had such an amazing experience working with healthcare workers.
Fantastic. So have you organized your husband?
He's pretty good. I mean, he's because we're similar in a lot of ways, but we do things differently. I mean, and that's just normal.
Right.
But we know how to capitalize on our differences. So when something needs my level of attention or my expertise and how I solve things, then that's on my plate and vice versa. So that works out beautifully. But he does pretty good on his own.
Okay.
I think I've rubbed up on him a little bit.
He's rubbed
up on me. He rubbed up on me as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
He's been watching you, right? So
yeah.
He knows better than to go to the store without a list.
True. Yes.
Or stay too long.
Exactly.
So in I know not everyone owns a business. So in people's personal lives, how do they take your suggestions for businesses and solopreneurs to have a good personal life?
Yeah. And like I said, I mean, it's a little different in terms of what I'm solving. So then it doesn't feel like I'm, going through a business plan with them if it's a home situation. It's more of what do you have going on at home? Let me just watch what you're doing. Some of the changes and solutions are similar, just in terms of using your devices, planning your time properly. That applies to your personal life or your work life. Honestly, both. I mean, because again, as I'm planning my week, I am planning for my business time. I'm planning for hubby and my date night, all that stuff's in there. My volunteer stuff with Junior League, all that's in that same on Sunday night. I'm putting together my week because I need to know what I'm doing.
Right. And remember, she has everything in her week, even her volunteer time and date night time. Okay.
Yes.
But sometimes I think we forget to add some of those things. And then you look at your calendar and it's like, oh God, I don't have any time. Yeah.
And for me, if it's not in the calendar, it doesn't exist. So literally everything I do goes in that calendar.
So do you use your phone and a paper calendar or you?
Oh, no, I don't use paper for anything. If I can help it. I would never touch a piece of paper ever again if I don't have to. So I am completely electronic, digital, everything's in my computer.
Okay.
Yes.
So what do you do with those of us who I use paper and my phone?
And I tell people to use whatever works for you.
Yeah.
Again, like I said before, I can't give you a new implementation that you're not ready for. If you are not a tech person, I'm not going to introduce a bunch of technology implementations to you. I'm going to try to find what works for you, what I know you will use, and then help you implement that.
Right. Yeah, I use both. I think the calendar allows me I'm a visual person, so it allows me the time to visualize what has to be done. And then I jump over to my phone. It's like, come on.
Yes.
But you're right. It does. For those of you who are listening, it works. Really schedule the time and keep keep your appointments with yourself. Because
Absolutely.
it's part of actually helping you achieve your goals. You'd be surprised how much time we waste when we're distracted by TikTok or Facebook or any of that stuff or everything that's on your phone. So take care of you first. And then if that's your binge out time, put it on your calendar.
That's right. Yeah.
Right. And set an alarm and don't be there all day.
Exactly. Yeah. And your me time can be your physical, your annual doctor appointments, all that stuff. You have to prioritize.
Okay.
Self-care is all of it.
Okay.
Your sanity, that downtime where you unplug from everything, that doctor appointment that you've been putting off forever, the annual physical you haven't had in 3 years. I mean, things like that. You got to start prioritizing all the things that make you run, because then you can actually start accomplishing things.
That's right. So if someone finds their life in a total mess,
yes.
and I know you have seen that too, where like you say to yourself silently, "Oh my God, how did this happen?" Right?
Yeah.
And what's the first thing you have them do?
They have to press pause, like just stop all of it, so I can figure out what one thing we can tackle first. So if it's all on fire, then I'm going to have to figure out what's the first thing that desperately needs our attention, and then we kind of go from there.
Okay.
So yeah, because usually, I mean, I'm a person. Again, a contract with me is typically one problem. But if you have like 2 or 3 things that are interlaced, then I can do that too. Okay. But the first thing is always for me to just observe what's happening, so I can figure out what needs the attention the most first.
Okay. So those of you who have a whole bunch of stuff going on, don't worry about it. Dr. Evans can help you with that too. Okay, because I've met some of those people, and
yes,
I said, "Oh, wait, this is way too much."
Oh yeah,
that's all I have to say is, "Oh, this is way too much." Yeah. So use your phones, whatever you use. Start calendaring what your day needs, how your day needs to look. And as she kept telling us, you have got to have some me time, because it's counterproductive to fall over dead in the middle of the day at your computer and keyboard. Okay, yes. Mess up somebody else's to do that.
So there's a lot of stuff not gonna get done. That's happening. So just saying.
Right. So what are the tips could you share that will help us be more productive? And I guess, what would be your second time waster? The other thing is, so don't get lost in the grocery store, y'all. Okay.
Yeah. Well, the phone is a gift and a curse, obviously, because like you said, the TikToking and the Facebooking and all that stuff. Not only is endless scrolling a waste of time, again, unless you're doing it in your me time. If that's how you unwind, then go for it. But people looking at what people are posting and then comparing themselves to it and thinking that they need to have that and thinking that their life sucks because they can't post that picture. Always remember, Facebook, all of those things are a moment in time. You don't know what else is going on with that person. You don't know what they're going home to or what they're going to be faced with tomorrow morning when they wake up. So don't wish for other people's anything. Because if you want to be that person, you're going to get the good, the bad, and the ugly. You're going to get the debt. You're going to get the heartache. You're going to get the headaches. You're going to get all the things just because you saw one pretty picture on Facebook in one moment of time. So don't covet other things that you see on social media, because they're mostly only posting the good stuff. So of course it looks like an endless stream of awesomeness. That's what most people are posting. A lot of people aren't posting the real, So don't compare yourself to what you see on social media at all.
But that's true. But I appreciate them only posting the real, because I don't want to see that other stuff. I got enough problems of my own. I don't want to see yours too.
Yes. Oh goodness. But
keep it pretty. That's right.
Yeah. As long as you can be okay not having what you see.
Right. So just keep it pretty.
Because whatever you have is what you're supposed to have.
That's
and whatever is out there for you, you will get. So don't worry about what everybody else is doing or what they have or what they're posting about.
And you are so true. It's so true when you say we don't know what else is happening in their life. That is just a moment in time. And we don't even know if that was a recent moment in time. It was just a moment in time, because everybody has great moments, and we have not so great moments, and we have terrible moments. But that's just the way life is. And just notice if you're having those moments, you're learning and you're growing too.
Exactly.
That's right. So everything isn't all cute all the time.
No.
As a matter of fact, don't put that kind of pressure on me.
Exactly.
Exactly. It's not going to be all cute all the time. I'm the first to admit that some of my posts I've made after I've been hiking, I don't look cute. Okay, so don't put that pressure on me. Oh God, before we wrap up, is there anything else you'd like to share with us so that we can have better lives?
Yeah. So I do love telling people you have to be selfish to be selfless. And everybody thinks selfish is a negative word, and it really isn't. Because again, it is a fact that you cannot help anybody else if you are struggling. If you aren't able to sleep, or if you aren't able to do what you need to do, you can't go out and then help 25 other people. So until you are in a good place, you can't help anybody else. So that does mean being selfish, making time for yourself, knowing what you need to say no to, knowing what you need to say yes to, and doing all those things before you dare reach over to help somebody else with anything they have going on.
That is so true, because a lot of times we do give when we don't really have it to give to help someone else, and that's not helping us at all when we do.
No. Not at all.
We have to take care of ourselves. We have to take care of ourselves first.
Yes.
As they say on the airplane, put your your oxygen mask on first.
Exactly.
And then the others. And then that way you can help someone.
Exactly.
But it's hard to help when you don't have it. So So I want to thank you for joining me today. It's been a great conversation, and I have learned a lot, especially now that I am a solopreneur. So I am on the right track, though. I have a calendar. Awesome. Okay, so now I have to make sure I get more me time than hiking, though. So I like the idea of just blocking out just blocks of time where you can do stuff. So I'm gonna take that advice from you.
Yes.
So, thank you. Also, tell people how they can reach you if they are interested in working with you.
Yeah. So I am on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. My handle is at Paulette J Evans, all one word. And my website for my business is evansefficiencyexperts.com. Okay.
So you guys have that. And she's serious, though. So don't go around tipping around asking her to help you and you're not ready, because she likes successes, so she will whip you in order. So be ready now. Okay. So thank you very much for joining us today. It was an absolute pleasure to have you here. So
thank you for having me.
This was fun, and I have learned a lot, so I really appreciate it. So as I always say, may this day offer just what you need in each unfolding moment. I want everyone to trust their greatness and embrace their power. So be inspired until further notice. Celebrate everything. Do not go gently into that good night. I want you to find that hill that's worth dying for and take it. So be the person that you've been waiting for. Make today so awesome that yesterday gets jealous, and above all else, I want you to do it your way. I'm Stephanie Wilson-Coleman, the Empowerment Doctor. And as I say recently, with the right pair of shoes, I can accomplish anything. Y'all have a great day. Bye now.
life's too short to drink cheap champagne. So I decided to buy me a better brand to taste with my strawberries. What